Hello to everybody watching this. My name is Ahmed Elbanna, and you're on episode number 4 on the Booming with Banna podcast. Today, we're joined with someone who's a little different from the age of our usual guests. So far, we've had those from ages 20 and above, 50, etc., people with experience, people who know what they're doing. But what about someone our age, or to most of my viewers at least, who is trying to get to know what they're doing and they're focused on it? Today, we have the perspective of Mr. Abdulaziz, I'll call you just Abdulaziz
Yeah.
Altayar. He is a Formula 4 driver, independent, and obviously knowing the way that works with karting and everything that you need to do and win, it's a pretty interesting story. So join me today as we find out a little bit more about him. So first of all, how are you today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, first of all.
Yeah, of course.
It's an honor to be here and part of your podcast.
Thank you. And what I'd like to ask again is, can you tell us a bit more about yourself other than the general overview? Who you are, hobbies, etc.
Okay. So, about myself, as y'all know, or you're going to know, is that I'm a Saudi racing driver. I started off through sim racing. I've always loved motorsports since I was a very young kid. And I pursued that passion through sim racing because Saudi Arabia lacks facilities. And the second I found a facility for racing here, and that's when I started to pursue my karting career. And basically that's where it all started. And now I'm a racing driver, Formula 4,
Yeah.
finally. And that's basically what I do.
You say you found out that you had a passion for motorsport from a very young age. Some people say, hey, I know what I'm doing when they're at a very young age, 3, 4, 5, 7. When did you know that this is what you want to do for the rest of your life?
Okay, so funny story is I've always loved it from when I was a little kid. And when I was around 4 or 5 years old, I asked my mother and I told her, I want to be a racing driver. And she gave me the worst look and she was like, no. And طبعا she didn't understand it at the time. So I never wanted to do it ever since because I knew the answer would be a no. And eventually, as I grew up and found that I have a talent in sim racing, that's when I brought the question back up again. And I was like, you know what? I want to give it a shot. I want to see what my potential in motorsports. And that's when I gave the question and realized that, yes, I want to do this and I'm going to do it.
Yeah. So you went from sim racing to F4 now. Can you tell me more about what process that looks like? Because it's not really an industry we know or study. So how does the racing industry or area work?
So basically, it all depends on where you start. And that's what's most probably, that's what's gonna decide where you end in the future. So usually, to make it to Formula One, there's a very strict step to it, strict ladder. So you first start off with karting from a very young age, around 5 to 8 years old. That's the proper time to start. And then you pursue that until you're around 14, 15. Then you move up a level to Formula 4 and Formula 3, 2, 1. And that's how it works. However, for people who lack facilities and don't have access or the budget to pursue racing through karting, there is potential for them to at least practice and learn the basics of motorsports through sim racing. And that's what I did. That's how I started off. So I started off by sim racing and found that I have a talent in that. I could learn all the physics of the cars, the aerodynamics, the weight distribution, tire management, temperature management, so many of the technical things. So the second I stepped into a kart, I was able to adapt really quick. So through that, that allowed me to not need a lot of time to adapt. So خلاص على طول when there's a championship, I can start and not need more practice.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah.
And the cars are different too, right? But how's it different? Is it engine or shape or weight distribution?
Okay, so karting and formula is pretty different. They're pretty different. Karting is a more it's more focused on we call it mechanical grip. So we only rely on the chassis and the tires and the wheels. So because it's like you're almost part of it.
Yeah.
You know, the body has a very big impact on the kart itself, and you learn the basics. It's really responsive and quick. And even in karting, there are many different levels. So you start with bambinos, and then you move up to junior karts, and then X30, and then khalas, you go up until you have shifter karts, which have around 6 gears.
Mm.
And yeah, that's karting. The second you move up a level from karting, that's when you're in the formulas, and formulas rely more on aerodynamics. You have suspensions, you have gearboxes, you have transmissions, you have so much to deal with.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's from basically a, how do I describe it? Picture it as like a bicycle
Yeah.
with 4 wheels and an engine up, up to a car,
Up
like
to
a
a car.
genuine car.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's a difference.
So we know how like racing is different in general, yani it's obviously not anything close to football, tennis, etc. But what is the difference? Have you done any other sports than just racing?
Uh, I'll be honest with you. You cannot name a sport that I haven't done. So, okay, we all know I'm a racing driver, but behind the scenes, I've done so many sports,
Mm.
too many to count. So, biking, running, swimming, marathons, triathlons, climbing, gym. So many of these sports I tried to pursue as a career, and it was out of passion. Mostly football, طبعا. Growing up, when I learned that motorsport wasn't going to be my career, I tried to pursue football, and طبعا I didn't have a passion for anything more than racing.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I circled back to
To
motorsport.
racing.
Yeah.
How different do you think it is, the mentality of, so I know you said racing, climbing, running, these are all things that have to do with you and yourself. They're not team sports, and they're dependent on your mentality. So what do you think is the difference in the mentality of someone who's a racing driver or an individual sport compared to a team sport?
Um. Well, it really depends. Yani, a team sport relies, and even by the way, yani, just because I'm the only one driving the car doesn't mean motorsport is not a team sport.
Yeah.
Because behind the scenes,
There's a lot going on.
there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
There's so much going on. So we have engineers, mechanics, we have physiotherapists, we have coaches, driver coaches, mental coaches, sleep coaches. So there is an entire team that goes on behind motorsports. So in some ways, the planning and the preparation
It's a team effort.
is a team effort.
Yeah.
But the driving, especially in formula and karting, because we don't have radios, depending on what championship, you don't have
Yeah.
radios, you don't have people speaking to you, telling you what you can do. Khalas, it's all in your mind, it's all in your instinct.
Yeah.
Yeah, yani, there's a big difference. So in football, mistakes and stuff, sometimes there's always someone to blame, or it's always khalas the team's fault. It's our fault, it's fine. Next time we can work together, we can communicate together, and inshallah improve. However, in motorsports, like Formula 4 or karting, mistakes are always on you.
Yeah.
Anything wrong, it's your fault. It's your problem. There's no one to blame. So learning to admit that it's your fault and learning from those mistakes and those types of things are what help you grow up.
Advance. Yeah.
And what's really difficult, and it's much more difficult to be alone in a sport, like for instance climbing, and not have a team behind you and a team to support you. It's very, very difficult because in some cases you're in the car, and you're not in a situation you want to be in. And if you did not start the day off correctly at a very strong and controlled mental state, one mistake can lead to choking, basically. And what is choking? Choking is when you start to lose focus. You start to lose the ability to drive using your heart. You start putting more force into it, and you start losing
So
control.
there's a lot more it's a much stronger mental aspect of it.
بالضبط. You need a very, very strong mentality to maintain.
How do you block? So you said if your morning doesn't start right, it can affect the way you race. How
100%.
would you block negativity on a race day?
What kind of negativity?
So, just waking up on the wrong side of bed, just things aren't going your way. How would you react to that so that it doesn't affect your performance later on?
So, first of all, meditation. Definitely. Meditation is a way I could calm myself down. Another thing is prayer. Prayer is like meditation. لما أصلي صلواتي يعني that's where I can really reset my mind. Anything negative, I try to detox my mind and remove all the negativity to try and start the day off at a high.
Yeah.
Okay. And worst case scenario, I arrive to the track and I'm still not feeling well. I go and try to speak to someone, speak to the coaches, try to get some help,
Yeah.
speak to my engineer to try to motivate myself, energize myself again, and try to remove the negativity before going in the car.
Yeah. What are so negativity? So we've discussed there's a mental aspect to it, and it's more like it's a bit of a lonesome sport. I know there is a saying in football because I used to, or I still do, play as a goalkeeper in football. I like to
Yes.
play as a goalkeeper, and there's a saying that goes around: is the goalkeeper is 50% of the team, and the others are the other 50. So in racing, how do you think the split is between driver and the people in the background? Is it also 50-50 or
Probably more. Probably more
for the driver?
for the team.
The team?
For the team, because without the team, you're not going out. You're not going out. Without a good trusted mechanic, without a good trusted engineer, you're not gonna go out. And even if you go out, you're not gonna know what to do. You're gonna be literally hopeless, or what do you say? I forgot the word. You won't be prepared. You know,
Yeah.
You're gonna go out. You're gonna drive. You're either gonna spin. You're either gonna crash. You're either gonna lose your mind, and you're not gonna be able to focus. Some people can go out. Like before, when I started racing and karting, I didn't have a team because I didn't have the budget. I
Yeah.
couldn't afford a team, so most of the time it was me, myself, and I. Alhamdulillah, I had a shared mechanic between me and two other drivers. So, khas, when I go down, I could be a little more prepared. But in Formula, especially in Formula, if you do not have a proper plan, a race strategy, you're going to go out, you're going to expect that you're going to perform, but you're going to find out that
It's not the case.
it's not the case at all.
So it's a very I think I would categorize it as like high risk, high reward almost. Because with the
Yeah.
amount of money and time and
Mm.
all this stuff going on, it's a very all or nothing mindset.
بالظبط.
And some people they don't particularly agree with an all or nothing mindset. So this is something we were talking about in one of my classes earlier about people who throw all their money into a business and somehow it works out. And I feel like having passion for like something like Formula One or Formula racing in general, it follows the same way because having all the passion and just putting all your money, time, effort into it with the hopes that it works out, I think it's a similar mindset.
True.
Do you think it's unsafe and it's risky
To go all or nothing,
for to go all or nothing into something you love, like
Mm.
racing,
all or nothing, as in like everything you own.
everything you have?
I think it's worth it because that's what I did.
Yeah.
I took out every penny of my pocket, and to the point where I owed people money
Yeah.
to race, and alhamdulillah, it paid off. And even though it didn't go my way, even though I might not have won the championship, you know, still it paid off
Yeah.
because going all or nothing. And as long as it's not gonna affect you, as long as losing it isn't gonna affect the way you live or affect the people around you,
Yeah.
go all or nothing. Who cares? Because worst case scenario, it doesn't go your way. You're gonna learn a very, very big and very valuable lesson, which is gonna stay in your life, stay in your heart, stay in your mind for the rest of your life.
So you can't succeed without failure.
You cannot succeed without failure. No.
What do you think has been the biggest failure? It's the biggest catalyst to your career, which has made it go, I think, a lot faster, or you knew what you were doing better.
What do you mean?
So, for example, here at the school,
Mm.
I run a couple clubs, and I'm staffing a lot of in some clubs. And part of learning how to do this and how to manage a team and coordinate thousands of riyals into projects and stuff. Part of it came from one very small thing, and it was I started a debate club here at the school, and the organization of it was awful. The team chemistry wasn't good, and I will say like there was favoritism, and sometimes I was guilty of that because my friends joined in on it, so it wasn't an unbiased thing, and it went horrible, and it closed off immediately, right? But now that I look at where I am now with the stuff, the projects I'm working on, not only is it something I love doing, but it's something that's been going well because learned from the previous times. So, what is the debate club in your career or life?
Okay. So the biggest failure in my life was it's a hard one to answer. I can't say failures. I'll say biggest lessons because I don't like saying I failed at something because I believe that no one ever failed at anything. The only time you really fail is when you fail with respect. You fail to respect your family. You fail to respect your mother and father. Or you fail to مثلا commit to your relationship with God. That's failure to me.
Yeah.
But all this business, all this school, all these projects, all these anything, it's learning. Yeah. It's a lesson. So I'll be honest, my biggest lesson was definite in racing were two things. When I lost in the Saudi Games. So it was basically the Saudi Games was a karting competition. It's a very big program for all sports for Saudi, where all Saudis can compete against each other and win up to 1 million riyals. So you first start off with trials, and then خلاص the top certain number, depending on the sport, هم اللي يتأهلوا to the finals, and whoever wins in the finals wins up to 1 million riyals and down, down, down. So I finished quali at a very high position, at a pretty high position compared to my competitors, because I went in being the youngest driver and having the least experience and years of experience. So when I went into the race, I went in with a lot of confidence and expectations that I can come back home winning 1 million riyals.
Yeah, it's a different league.
Yeah, so when I went and I saw and I raced, I finished last. So I started off fifth, 5 positions away from 1 million riyals, finished the race last. And that taught me a very big lesson of expectations. Not to put expectations, Don't act like you already won the thing before you actually got the chance to fight for it. That's one of the biggest lessons. Second biggest lesson was losing the championship. So as we all know, I'm the EAMI Series vice champion of the EAMI Series, which is a karting championship here in Saudi Arabia. غير al Saudi Games, this is another championship. And yeah, I was pretty strong. I was driving pretty strong, and I finished at a very high position before the final. And it came down to the final race to decide whether me or my competitor would win the championship. طبعا, we started off the day really strong. And yeah, I had really high hopes to win the championship. And when it came to the podium ceremony on who wins the championship, I didn't know the points scoring system. I didn't study it, which is another lesson I learned. They called out his name for winning the championship. And I was like, what? And I just broke down, and it was a mess. And that taught me another very big lesson again on expectations, not to expect like you already won the championship, because anything could happen.
Yeah.
Another thing I learned was that if I forgot what I was gonna say.
It's fine.
It was a very big lesson. I forgot. I'm gonna have to think back to it again.
I think what I find similar to what you're saying is I want to ask as well, when you went to the Saudi Games, were you like a bit shocked at how it was a different league, like it was people were a lot better than you, or what was the skill gap?
Yeah, I wouldn't say they were a lot better than me, because I gave a bit of competition to some people as well, and who were pretty good. But it was just that I was not at the right mental state, because I've trained very hard. So alhamdulillah, I cannot say that my skill level is a low skill level. You know, طبعا I
Mm.
have so much to learn. There's so much to learn. But alhamdulillah, I'm very quick in adapting to these really tough
Yeah.
conditions. But the biggest challenge for me was being at the right mental state, because you can have all the skills in the world, you can be the most skillful person, but if you don't have the right if you're not at the right mental state, you're not going to be able to access these skills. And that was one of my biggest challenges competing. If I wouldn't go in at the correct mental state, I wouldn't be able to access all my skills. So khas, I'm just driving based on instinct, and I'm
Yeah.
not really using my mind, my strategies. I'm not able to be smooth. Khalas, I'm just forcing the car into the corners and expecting it
Yeah. To work.
to work.
Yeah.
And taban, I'm asking too much from it, so it punishes me in exchange.
Yeah. Do you find it stressful, all these things that come with the racing thing, or is it something that um I know there's this one quote from Steve Jobs. He says, "If you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life."
Mm.
Do you think because you love racing, it doesn't feel tiresome or it doesn't feel like you're working because you always know it's gonna yield some fruit? It's gonna always come back to you with a higher reward.
So, yeah, that's actually very true. That racing does not stress me at all. It does, of course. There are many stresses. Like racing on itself, practicing, competing, that gives me no stress. That kills all my stress. It keeps me focused, it keeps me motivated, it keeps me productive. It's like gaming.
Yeah.
You know, when you're doing a mission, طبعا, sometimes you're in situations where you want to try and get done with the mission and it's hard and you're trying again and again and again until you get it. Those types of stresses, yes, of course. And I love it. It's so fun. And I couldn't ask for anything better. In fact, when I'm in these tough situations while racing, I thank God because I'm enjoying it. However, I do have some stresses trying to pursue this passion, because sometimes it's not always guaranteed that I'm going to be able to race every weekend or every race that's next, because if I do not have the correct funding or support, I'm not going to be able to join it. So these stresses are actually things that feel like a job.
Yeah.
I'm working so hard and getting out of my comfort zone and going to places I don't really want to go to, just in order to allow myself to race and gain access to the
Yeah.
funds to be able to pursue racing. So yeah, in some ways, طبعا, it feels like a job, but in most ways, like the racing itself, the training and everything, God, it feels like I'm in a theme park. I love it.
Is it a full-time thing? Like, is it like, can you tell us how your day split goes?
Okay, my day goes. I wake up in the morning. Do you want it with school or no school?
With school.
With school, okay.
Mhm.
So I'm homeschooled. So alhamdulillah, I'm in control of my day. I can choose whatever to do. So when to study, طبعا, and how much to study. So I start off my day early morning, as early as possible, around 5 to 6 a.m., right before the sun rises. And yeah, first thing I do, wash my face and look at the sun, get some sunlight. And then أصلي الفجر. Sorry, I wash my face, أصلي الفجر,
Yeah.
then I get some sun, energize myself, and then start it off with some meditation.
Yeah.
5 to 15 minutes. Nothing too serious. Yeah, and I try to start off the day with a very nice rhythm. And then خلاص, since it's the morning, I exercise. So depending on the day. So some days I'm doing cardio. Some days I'm doing strength sessions. Cardio days I exercise biking, jump roping for around an hour, hour and a half. Strength sessions, which are like exercising in the gym, that I do for around 2 to 3 hours in the mornings, of course, because that's when I'm most energized. But then the rest of the day, خلاص, is studying. After I take a shower, cold shower, أهم شيء. I study for around 3 hours a day. And then, after studying, I start with my work, which is the racing work. Whether it's practicing on the simulator, practicing at the go-kart track, or just studying new tracks, new circuits. طبعا before going to any race weekends, we always study and learn all the points of a racing track and
Right.
watch onboard footage and everything. And yeah, that's basically my day. And yeah, I finish it off with a nice dinner because I usually intermittent fast. So I fast throughout the day.
Mm.
طبعا that's if I'm not exercising in the morning, I fast. But when I'm exercising, I just take a light snack. Yeah, finish it off with dinner. And yeah, I just read a book, give myself a break, watch a bit of videos, learn a few things here and there. And yeah, that's my whole day, every day.
Do you think you need to win the morning to make sure the rest of the day goes well?
100%. 1000%. There's no doubt about that.
Do you think school hinders your ability, like school, like 8 to 3 p.m.? Do you think it hinders the ability to win the morning, or can you work a way around it?
10,000%. It does. That's why I don't like school. But of course, yani, look, I'm not in school.
Yeah.
I'm not in school anymore
Yeah.
to decide that. But yani, looking at my schedule now, and if I was in school and I would want a proper rhythm,
Yeah.
I don't think I would be able to have a productive morning because you're waking up by 5:30,
Yeah.
6 a.m. يا دوب I have time to maybe get some breakfast, maybe do a bit of meditation. صلي على طول يلا. There's traffic يلا أطلع المدرسة, go into the car, traffic وكذا أوصل
Yeah.
المدرسة and have to make it to class in time. And يعني it's kind of too stressful for the morning
Yeah.
to be started off in a rhythm.
I feel from my end, I will say that I enjoy it. So there's different perspectives. There's those who like to
100%.
take control of their day, like you. You like to set your own schedule, set your own time. But at the same time, I feel like for me, I take like a rigorous course load here. It's a pretty hard course load, and a bunch of other extra stuff that I'm doing on the side.
Inshallah.
But the thing I think I like the most is with the 8 a.m. part. I love the pressure that comes from it. I think because I know there's this one thing, and it's, diamonds are made under pressure. صح? يعني if I took fahm, if I took coal, put it under enough pressure, it turns into a diamond. And I feel like part of the school system is it's harmful for, I think, most of the population that can't handle this type of stuff. But for those that can, I think it's a very good, it's like when you sharpen a knife.
Certainly is.
I feel like that's the way I would
100%
picture
is.
it.
Yani, look, I'll be honest with you. School is a very, very good teacher and sharpener for scientists, for engineers, for people who want to pursue things that you can only pursue through schooling.
Yeah.
Because in order to be, for instance, a scientist, you need to adapt, or a doctor, for instance, you need to adapt to waking up in the morning, being in a rush, going through traffic while still maintaining a very strong mindset
Yeah.
to make it to school. But for instance, I'll be honest with you, I want to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
If I'm not gonna pursue racing, because we can't race, we can't شو اسمه, learn racing through school. So the only thing I'd learn through school is, for instance, entrepreneurship. Being an entrepreneur, you don't necessarily need to make it to work in time, because you're the one who's in control of your work. So طبعا you're gonna want to, انت بنفسك, you're gonna choose to wake up early and set a limit for yourself, but you're not gonna get in trouble if you arrive late to work.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that affect the population. Not everyone wants to be a scientist. Not everyone wants to be an engineer. Some people don't want to have a job or have things where you're gonna need to wake up at this time of the day.
Yeah.
And go through that traffic. كذا ف يعني أحس
Would you recommend the homeschool approach and focusing more on what you actually love, if it's not something technical like politics or science or math, etc.? Would you just tell people to take that approach?
I'll tell you, homeschooling is 100% the best form of education you can get.
Why? Because
you're not having you're not sitting in a classroom with, صراحة, in some ways I can say distractions, because when you're with your friends, those are distractions. You're not sitting in a classroom and then distractions, and then having this one person giving you words constantly, expect you to understand them.
Yeah.
That's not going to teach you. It's not going to teach you. You have to be a very, very, very smart kid.
To
You have
be
to be
able to
very
focus in
committed to be
that,
able to focus and
in that
understand,
scenario.
especially when it's something you don't want to learn. In school, you have to go to art class. That's
And-
when I was in school. You have to study art class. So I'm sat there in art class and the teacher is teaching and teaching and expecting me to understand. Goes in 1 year and out the other.
Yeah.
It's a struggle. Whereas homeschooling, you
Take control.
take control.
Yeah.
You are the one reading throughout the lessons. If you didn't understand anything, you can always go back and reread the lessons. You know, you have quizzes, you have multiple tries on them, you have videos which you can view thousands of times.
Yeah.
You have paragraphs on paragraphs which you can read as much as you want until you understand. But you're always promised great results if you focus, if it's what you love. And that's what I love so much about homeschooling, you know. And at the same time, it gives you so much control over your day. You can choose how much to study, and we can even we can choose to study 2 lessons per day. You know, we can choose to study 100 lessons per day. And my summer breaks are 5 months. 5 month summer breaks. Why? Because during the semesters, I study so much as I possibly can, and I get done with everything. So by the time summer comes or by the time winter comes, khalas, I'm ready. And I can finish before summer break by like a month, 2 months. So I get an extra 2 months of summer break.
So it's your schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
What about the social part that comes from it? Because school is a lot more people
100%.
thing. So do you think homeschooling it sort of inhibits your ability to meet people?
100%. So, like I forgot to mention it. So there are 2 good things. So there's a good and a bad thing of homeschooling. The good thing is that, as in school, as in education, homeschooling is the best you're gonna get. However, as in a social life part, if you start homeschooling from a young age and you're not around kids and students and people, yes, it is going to put a very big impact on your social life. Unless you're involved in other forms of schooling, like for instance, you go to a gym or you go to a karting circuit, you can meet and socialize through there, or you go to, I don't know, art class if you like art or whatever. Khalas, you can socialize through these after school programs.
What role do you think the socializing, so the friends aspect, what part do you think that plays in not just schooling but overall success? So when you said in class and with your friends and it just goes through one ear and out the other, I find that a real scenario, 100%. And even I'll say, like, I'm guilty of that. When you're with your friends, you're enjoying your time, you're having fun, and you're not really focusing. What role do you think friends play in so far what you're working on, and what role do you think friends play in general when it comes to succeeding or trying something new, etc.?
Okay, there are 2 types of friends: the ones who move you up and forward, the ones who try and pull you down. So, if you like science and your group of friends are passionate about science, okay, you guys are going to motivate each other to learn science. You're going to help each other learn science and move each other forward and up. Whereas if you like science and your friend, he prefers art, okay, while you're trying to pursue your passion of math, your friend who likes art is going to pull you down.
Ignore the course part of it. I'm saying like you're the racing.
Yeah.
You're giving it your all. There's gonna be people who are on your side rooting, yay, let's go, صح? And then there's others like, what are you doing? Yani chill. You're not, calm down. So when it comes to something, I feel outside of school, because the one thing I like to do is to just the perspectives are biased towards what we know within the walls of this building. We know things, we know what's going on here, and it's a system. But in the real world, with something like your career in racing, what role do you think friends play in that part? Are they the make or break? You know, they say, show me your friends, I'll show you your future. So where would you stand on something like that?
Yeah, my career, you cannot have friends. Like personally, I cannot say I have many friends. So, يعني, like, طبعا just because I know many people doesn't mean I have many friends.
Yeah.
You know, like those who are truly my friends, it's probably only one person and my own family. The rest are just people I know because I do not have room for any distractions. I do not have room for anyone to come and be like, "Hi, yalla Zizo, let's go out." Most of the time, I'm gonna be like, "No, unfortunately, I can't go
Yeah.
out because I'm always doing something. I'm always busy, whether it's with racing, whether it's with training." Okay, in my discipline, in my sport, I don't have room for friends. And if you find yourself having room for friends while you're pursuing this discipline, and طبعا friends who are not pursuing the same career, it's going to be very difficult and you're most likely not going to be able to succeed in it.
Do you think that in our age range, so one of the things I believe in, صح, is I don't think schooling is something for you. Yani, just go to university. خلص. You know, just classes, whatever, get your A's, B's, and then go to university. I don't think of it that way. I think of it, yani, yeah, I want to go to the best university. I want to be the best major. Do you think being the best at something in general corresponds to the part of like having friends? Do you think you can't have those distractions, not just racing, but trying to be the best at something?
It really depends. And it all comes down to you at the end of the day. So if you want to be the best at, for instance, your major,
Yeah.
okay, you want to be the best in class, but you still choose to go and party on the weekends or kidda,
Yeah.
you're not going to find yourself being the best eventually. You might be able to be the best now, but if you keep that rhythm forever, you're not going to be able to make it.
Yeah.
Whereas if you make the sacrifices of not going to party on the weekends and really focus on becoming the best, and you are the best, at least because you made that sacrifice of reducing as much distractions as possible,
Yeah.
you'll maintain consistency in your discipline and in your career. I remember being in this school. You were much more free than being
Yeah.
in any other school. So props to AISJ.
One day we'll reach that level.
Inshallah. My
Inshallah.
dream is actually to create a whole new schooling system.
A whole new schooling system.
Whole new schooling system.
But I would guess to mix the agency you have in homeschooling with the social aspect of school.
Basically, yeah, بالضبط. So you create a very strong form of education
Yeah.
where people can learn self-sufficiency, self-dependency, while at the same time maintaining good social life and social structure, you call it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna cut out the bit that was there, and there was a small interference. But like we were saying, the one thing I wanted to ask is, do you think you should sacrifice more in these years compared to to like, is it worth it to sacrifice now? So some people value young years. You're young, party, have fun, because you're not gonna be able to in the future. You're gonna have work and family, etc. Do you think sacrificing that for being the best and not enjoying the young years is a worthwhile investment?
What guarantees that you're going to be here in the future?
Nothing.
Nothing. So why waste your current times?
Some people would say, let me not waste it and enjoy and party. So, and others would say, let me not waste it and
Let me
lock in.
Look, I'll tell you. So طبعا يعني of course if you want a good future and a fun future, of course there are some restrictions you need to make to fun. That doesn't mean you cannot have fun at all.
Yeah.
You know what I tell you to sacrifice for the sake of your future is sacrifice smoking, sacrifice drugs, sacrifice partying, sacrifice being around people who aren't going to take you anywhere, sacrifice the nonsense, sacrifice this nonsense social part of social media, of course, like the ones that don't help you, the ones that don't motivate you, the ones that don't influence you. that, of course, sacrifice it, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't have fun.
Yeah.
What I say is you should have fun at these times, but have fun doing something you love, and have fun doing something that's gonna build you a strong future.
Yeah.
Because worst case scenario, your future isn't there. La qadar Allah, maybe you got sick. La qadar Allah, you're permanently paralyzed. You cannot continue in your discipline.
Yeah.
At least you had fun during your young years and you didn't waste it. Like, don't waste a second of your life doing something you don't like just to build a future. Do what you like, but just do something that's gonna build you a nice future. That's why I don't like school, because I don't like work.
Yeah.
I do not like jobs. I'm not a big fan of any kind of business, like just because it's gonna earn me money.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of business, but I'm a fan of doing business and what I love. I'm a fan because I'm a stock investor. I invest in stocks and أشياء كذا. طبعا part-time hobby, job, whatever. But I invest in things I like.
Yeah.
I invest in cars. I invest in science projects. I invest in medications. These are things I love. But I'm not gonna just go invest into any random thing that I don't have a passion in. Like, for instance, what don't I have a passion in? I really love so many things. I don't know what I don't. Anyways, yeah. So I hope you got the point.
What's your favorite car?
That's the hardest question to answer.
You're a racing driver. You should know the answer.
No, of course. No racing driver knows the answer because there are too many cars to choose from. So, like, let's break it down. There are classic cars.
Mm-hmm.
And from the classic cars, I like the Ferrari F50, F40. I love the Mercedes 300 SL. I love the CLK GTR. That's another beautiful car. From the more modern cars, like let's say 2000s, I really, really, really like the... there's too much to choose from. I really like the CLS 63. I really like that. There's too much to name. I can't even think of my favorite ones. But look, I'll tell you, like my top favorite car, like top 3, definitely the Aston Martin Valkyrie. And it's a very new car.
Yeah.
You know what?
I'm gonna pretend I knew everything you just said.
No, I hope someone
Thing is,
understands.
I know what you like. I know what you feel right now because I want to be an aerospace engineer.
Yeah?
So I want to work on planes.
Amazing.
So I know all the plane types, their engine sounds, etc. So when I tell people about it, they just look at me. They're like, huh? They're just like, what? What you say? A320 777? I'm like, okay,
God.
okay. But I think I know the Aston Martin Valkyrie. I know that one.
Yeah.
I know the Merc, but I don't know how the others look like. We'll find out after this when I'm editing.
Inshallah.
I'll just search them all up.
You're gonna really... I don't know if you're gonna like them, but I really like them. I actually like Porsche as well. I really, really like Porsche. Like a GT3 Touring, like the older versions, and like the GT2s.
Yeah.
Do you know them?
Yes.
Those you know.
Yeah, those I know.
Perfect.
Because I live next to one, like a dealership.
Oh, nice.
So I think for me, if I'm saying a car, let's go like old school with the Chevy Tahoe.
I don't like American cars.
No, okay.
I'm sorry.
I don't know. But Chevy Tahoe or like...
Not even the Ford. Like, look, an American car I accept is a Ford GT. Definitely.
okay. Or a Chrysler, those big buff Chryslers.
Those I can't.
I know, I'd want one of those like... They're like muscle cars, but for SUVs.
We have a very opposite opinions
Yeah.
on cars.
I just think it's more low-key, just nicer. But I get what you're saying. It's like the flashy and old school concept of the car area.
Yeah.
So you like cars. You like
I
racing.
love them. I've loved them ever since I was a
Little kid.
3-year-old.
A lot of people don't know what they love. I love planes.
Yeah,
So there's
that's a
someone...
very big problem.
Why?
That people don't know what they love.
Ah, yeah, that. I thought
Yeah.
the planes.
No,
I was
no.
like,
That's a very good thing. I
Okay.
love planes too.
but what would you tell someone right now, our age, who doesn't know what they want to do in life? And another thing I feel like you might not like is how the school system forces you to pick at this age. But I kind of agree with it because I would rather know what, like, would you rather start your racing career at 19 compared to 8?
Of course, I'd rather start it at 8.
Exactly, because you have
Yeah.
more time to compound your abilities, skills, talents.
Why do they ask us now? Why don't they ask us when we were 8?
No, but
That's the biggest problem.
right. they get you thinking about it at 8, but you don't commit at
No.
that age.
If they teach you that you can commit it and pursue it at 8, that would be much better. But just 2 years before college, yalla, now you have to.
Yeah,
You're under pressure, two
yeah,
years, and people stress, and then they find themselves, "Khas, okay, I'm gonna do this," and then the second they do it, they're like, I don't like this.
yeah,
They're like, this
yeah. I get what you
classroom is
mean.
like,
Yeah, خلاص, I
why?
can't.
Whereas when you're 8 or 7, like Elon Musk, he's like, he doesn't even put his kids in school, by the way. He has a school for them where he just finds what they like. He shows them, there's this and that and that. What do you like? You pick. You do whatever you want. They pursue that and khalas, they stick to it. So
Yeah.
by the time they're 19, they're already professionals in it.
In what they're doing.
Yeah, in what they're doing. So khalas, they already have a future in it. They're already successful in
Yeah.
it technically.
So you'd say the biggest change, like one of the changes you do to a school system, is you would make it a lot more clear that you should start looking into what you want to do from a young age,
Yes.
rather than force you a couple years before you graduate.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like for the STEM aspect, school's good, but I don't know about others who don't have the concept for school. Like we were just discussing this. There's a pretty big part of genetic talent that goes into being successful. So yani, I would say, like for example, you're probably a lot more athletic than I am, 100%, to be able to enjoy your endurance, mental health, etc. Do you think? Um, so we know it's commonly said that talent and hard work, two separate things. Kyrie Irving, I believe, said that you can beat talent if talent fails to work hard. He said that. What do you think of talent and hard work and someone who just works hard? Do you think eventually the hardworking person will surpass someone with talent, or do you need talent to succeed?
No, you can't just pick one thing. To succeed, you need everything to be in sync. This is why succeeding is so hard, and it's always like, this is what success looks like. It's
Yeah.
never like this. It's never like this. It's always like this,
Yeah,
because you need everything to work. It's like an orchestra.
yeah,
Same thing in racing, same thing in business, whatever, with team sports. Because usually to succeed, you need a team, you need help, you need support. And for support, for the team to work, it needs to be in sync. Everything needs to work. So you can't just focus on making the car fast, but you put a slow driver.
yeah,
You need a fast car. You need to make the car as fast as possible, set it up perfectly, and you need the driver to be as fast as he possibly can be. And he needs to be physical as well. He needs to withstand. You can bring a fast driver, but if he's not physical enough to drive the car, he's not going to be able to drive it either.
So you think
So
are you born with talent, or do you make your own talent?
I made my own talent.
You think it was just something, yeah,
And
you worked
most-
toward it?
Yani, I believe that most people work towards their talent.
Mm.
طبعا some people, they have advantages through their genetics, where مثلا their families were former racers, or their families were former athletes who can trade, who
Privilege.
can who can مثلا يعني, if they were former athletes or artists or whatever, they have more access and easier access to
Connections.
to the state of flow, for instance, or they're able to control their mental state, so
Ah,
it's easier for them.
yeah.
That's so genes maybe make it easier,
Yeah.
but certainly you do not need a genetic to pursue a certain passion. Anything can be pursued by anyone, I believe, as long as they put the right work into it
Yeah.
and they make sure everything's in sync and they tick all the boxes.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Having everything I like the use of orchestra, because you don't think of it when you go home and you study for tomorrow's test, just for tomorrow, or when you go to the gym and it's just one day. But if you look at it, it's like your life is a series of notes, sort of, and you're playing a note every day, and at the end it's just one very nice song.
It is.
I feel like that's how I would like to word what we're talking about. Another thing that does come with the hard work and success, and something that I would want to quote, I think I want to quote it exactly. Entrepreneur Alex Hormozy, he was on a podcast with Chris Williamson on the Modern Wisdom podcast, and He spoke about the three traits of ultra successful people. And I want to know what you think of each one, and is it good, bad, or where should society applaud these traits, or what should we do? The first one he says is ultra successful people have a superiority complex. They think that they're better than everyone else and that they deserve more than others. Where do you stand on this? In a race or without a race, do you think in your field you're better than everyone else and that you deserve more success and that you deserve to win more?
Okay, I'll be honest with you. Two things: my belief and my expectations. Not to put too many expectations, I do not say I'm better than everyone.
Mhm.
But in my belief, I believe I can be better than everyone.
Yeah.
But I don't say I am better than everyone, because then I'm going to put too many expectations on myself
Yeah.
to be better than everyone. And if I'm not better than everyone, which no one is better than everyone,
Yeah.
eventually it's going to crash down on you and make it harder. Whereas when you have the belief that you can be better than everyone,
Yeah.
you have something to work towards, then you certainly can. It's certainly going to make you successful. It's going to make things easier. You're going to have more confidence and everything.
Do you think having an ego has something to do with the belief or expectation? Like having a high ego, do you expect yourself naturally to just perform at that level? Or is it about believing you're better than everyone? Or is it just a completely different thing?
Okay, so what is ego?
As in like a Google term, or like what I believe it is?
What do you think is ego?
Oh, what I think is ego. I think is the inherent belief that I can be better than everyone else, and that in my current state, if I am putting in enough hard work, I am better than everyone else.
Ego. The definition of ego is basically a thought that leads to you doing or making a bad decision. That is what your ego is.
Mm.
So if your mom tells you, or your dad, or anyone, or your teacher tells you, you know what? I want you to study this lesson right now.
Mm.
You have two sides. You have yourself and you have your ego. Yourself will be like, okay, yes, sure. Your ego is going to be like, no, I don't care. I don't want to think. That's your ego.
Mm.
What leads you to what leads you to making bad decisions. So where does that stand with what you said? Close. You basically, your ego is telling you that I am better than everyone. I am the best. I am the thing.
Mm.
So in some cases where if someone was bad to you or someone is trying to look tough,
Yeah.
you need your ego
Yeah.
in order to battle that. So you're
Yeah.
not so naive. And,
Yeah.
whereas when you're in a situation where everyone's equal, and then you try to bring your ego and show that, you know what, out of all you equal people, I'm the best. And you
Yeah.
look down on them, and that is bad ego.
So it's a double-edged sword.
It's a double-edged sword. So never eliminate your ego, and definitely don't live by your ego.
Yeah.
Become friends with your ego.
Yeah.
It's always there,
Yeah.
And you can only use your ego in certain situations. Most likely, don't go
Yeah.
with the more
Humble approach.
more humble approach until you can really, really control your ego.
Yeah.
Because controlling your ego is a skill not many people have.
Yeah.
Only the most talented people have, mashallah.
Yeah.
And they have like this very strong control of ego. They can use their ego in a way that doesn't make them look bad and doesn't make them bad people, but it certainly serves them a benefit to make them more confident,
Yeah.
perform better, and basically unsettle their opponents.
I feel like having almost a good ego is like getting a blue check mark on Instagram.
It is.
That's what I would see it
Yeah.
as. Because you're
That's
sort
actually-
of like
that's
verifying to yourself that, I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. The second thing he spoke about is massive insecurity.
Mm.
He said the ultra successful fear that they'll never be enough. Do you fear that you'll never be enough?
Do I fear that I'll never be enough? kind of, yeah. But I'm not like, I don't want to say I'm insecure about something, but I don't know if insecurity is a fear of feeling that you're not enough, or you didn't like. I don't like. I'll be honest with you. Okay, like, I don't care if I'm not enough, but what I do care is that I didn't do enough.
Yeah.
What would really hurt me is if I know that I didn't do enough, but if I did everything and did not leave a stone unflipped, I don't care if I'm a billionaire. I don't care if I'm a champ. I don't care.
Because
Doesn't
at least
matter.
you don't have to ask yourself, what if
Exactly.
I did that?
Khalas. I
Yeah.
know I did it all, and the rest is on God
Yeah, exactly.
and on time. Because
Exactly.
everyone has a time where everything works for
Yeah,
them.
100%.
Yeah.
I like that. That it's about giving it your all, and yani you just go with the flow, and if it clicks, it clicks.
Yeah.
The third thing that I spoke about, and the last thing, is called having an impulse control, and I think that's a very big thing about what we spoke about, and especially with our generation. It's about your ability to delay gratification and stay focused on the main goal. And exactly, and like an exact quote is, he said, many people spend years waiting to do the first hour, procrastinating basically. Would you say you're guilty of this? Do you think you've countered it sort of, and do you have any advice for those who go by the waiting years for an hour?
I don't need to think before answering this question, because yes, I 100% am guilty of this. Because there was a time of my life where my whole day would rely on dopamine, on gratification,
Yeah.
whether it's through gaming, social media, eating unhealthy, sleeping late, waking up late. It's all just gratification, gratification. So when there came times where I need to focus, where I need to exercise, where I need to really use my brain and my body, I couldn't perform.
Yeah. Especially in a long period of time.
And it
without
impacted me.
Yeah.
And it took so much hard work in order to cleanse all of that and cleanse all of the side effects, in order to reset my mind, reset my health, reset my body, to start from zero and start building a good rhythm of focus, of endurance, of all these types of things. And what I mean by endurance isn't just being able to run for a long time, be able to think for a long time as well. It's to be able to constantly solve equations, solve problems, answer the right questions with the right answers.
What advice would you give someone struggling with this? Because with social media, eating unhealthy, waking up sleeping late, waking up late, obviously other bad habits, drugs, smoking,
Yeah, I'll tell
etc.
you. So, of course, we all know you shouldn't do these things, but because we're so addicted, we can't not do these things.
Yeah.
So, the best advice I have is to control it. First step, control. Try to control it. I don't care how much of it you control. When you're the second, for instance, you pick up the vape, because probably 90% of kids our age vape,
90,
which is crazy.
bit too much, but I think
Too
I get
much.
your point.
Maybe,
Even like
yeah.
10% is too much.
Whatever. So, first of all, control the second you pick up the vape. Control the second you pick up the phone. Control the second you open a bag of chips. Be conscious of it. Know that what I'm doing is this, and this is wrong. Second of all, give yourself a limit for how much you can take of it. So give yourself a limit of how much social media you can watch throughout the day. Give a second for how many bags of chips or how many chips in the bag you can have per day. Give yourself a limit of how many times, مثلا, if you vape or smoke or whatever, you can do.
So you follow an incremental approach, yani lower it every day or every week?
Every day, consistently, lower it.
What do you think of people who do the what's it called? With vaping, it's called the cold turkey approach, where they just drop it.
You just drop it?
Yeah. Do you think that works? Or
most of the time, you're going to find them smoking again eventually. First month or two, they'd be like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
third month they're with their friends and they're like, you know what, I haven't done it for like 3 months, and they might like take a puff, and then eventually
It goes back again.
it goes back. So this is why slowly reducing. So how did I stop eating unhealthy, and how did I stop procrastinating? I started controlling it. I started saying, okay, see, so you know what? Now you're having too many chips per day.
Mm.
You know, you're eating unhealthy. Now, cancel out one bag of chips. You know, and replace your unhealthy meals with something healthier.
Yeah.
You know, and then you slowly work your way down, work your way down, work your way down.
So
So, yeah, and طبعا there are different approaches depending on what you're doing and who is doing it. You know, so
yeah.
yeah. I hope it's right. And by the way, I just want to point everything clear. Everything I'm saying is an opinion.
Yeah.
It's what I think. It's not that this is true,
Yeah, obviously,
but
of course not.
it's what I think, and it's what based on the evidence that I saw. You know, so
Right.
I just want to.
Yeah, no, no,
Because
no.
there are
I mean,
definitely things which
that's,
people might disagree with, and yeah.
That's part of the thing with what's it called? With a 1 second, the camera looks a bit funky.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, that's one of the things that comes with a podcast. Is it's all about throwing opinions. You can't fit everything into a one-sized box, but the least you can do is help give diameters of that box. Help people know
100%.
what kind of box you're trying to fit
Very
them
good
in.
point.
So I feel like that's why I started this thing. And a lot of other people, when they ask me, like, why did you start this thing? Especially because you don't find someone who's like 16 with a podcast.
Mm.
What I noticed is, Noel, and I posted this the other day, is, let's say your mom tells you to eat vegetables. You're going to say no. You don't want it. But when little Fahad comes and he's like, eat your vegetables. Your friend tells you eat your vegetables. You'll eat your vegetables.
You're gonna eat it.
You're gonna follow your friend. That's one of the things I believe in. Your friends make or break you. You're one of the factors of your future. But when your friend tells you to do something, you're more likely to do it. Even though our parents and professionals and other people are a lot more experienced than we are, we tend to take advice with more comfort from others our age.
Why?
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 I feel like we have an ego. It's just there. I think it's one that you can't classify as good or bad, in my opinion. That you think you don't need someone just because they've lived more or longer than you to tell you what to do. But when it's someone who has lived as long as you telling you what to do, it's like, yeah, they're in my same position. I should take their advice.
It's not about age, and it might not be about ego. Depending on who it is.
Yeah.
For me, the second my parents tell me, Zizo, eat your vegetables, I'll be like, why though? They'll be like, because the vegetables are good for you. They're going to help you with your physique. They're going to help you with filling in your belly without needing to make it full by unhealthier things.
Yeah.
You know, it's an alternative,
Mm.
and it's going to help you. So why do I say why? Because for me, I do not like to answer a question before knowing and understanding why. When someone tells me to do something, no matter who it is, I always ask why. That's the first thing. Second of all, why do most people get influenced by their friends? Because why do they listen to their friends and not their parents? Because the ones who influence them are their friends. Because those are the ones you're around the whole time.
Yeah.
You know, those when you see your friends doing this, all these three people are doing that. Why don't I do that? I want to do that as well. So
Yeah.
you're gonna do it, you know, and this is why you're most likely gonna listen to your friends
Yeah.
rather than your parents. But how do you listen to your parents? Is ask them why. Why should I? Why should I do this? Why should I take this? Why should I eat this? And then that's where you can start to get more influence.
And when it comes to the friends part, they play a very big role in all your decisions. How do you pick?
Personally, when it comes to friends, I don't usually take advice from them. I do, طبعاً, but I take advice from them when they're in a position that I want to be in,
Yeah.
or when they've done something that I want to do. So if, for instance, my friend was depressed, an example,
Mm.
and I'm depressed, but then they got out of the depression, I'm gonna learn a lot from my friend on how did I'm gonna take the advice from them on how did they get out of depression,
Yeah.
because we're usually going through the same things because we're at the same age. But
Yeah.
if I'm gonna learn it from my parents, it's not gonna be as impactful, because I know if they got depression, they got it through a different thing,
Yeah.
or anything, really anything, whether
Yeah.
it's in a sport. How did they مثلا handle the pressure in a sport? You're gonna learn it from the people who are more your age, or the people who are very old, very very old, but have gone through it when they were your age.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I feel like that's also again the point of this thing is I wanna have people listen to the advice of older people, but not but through their voice, yes. But like what I hope is this platform being like the middleman,
Mm.
so that people like are more they enjoy the concept more.
I'll be honest.
Mm.
The most people you're gonna learn from are the people who you want to become. So if you want to become, for instance, a football player, okay, you want to learn from someone who became a football player.
Yeah.
And usually they are always older than you,
So you set your standards at the people who are in your position,
who are in the position I want
or
to
either
go.
sorry, the position that you want to be
بالضبط.
in.
بالضبط.
Yeah.
That's how I learn. Any, like, probably like 60% of the people I go out with are old enough to become my grandparents,
Yeah.
because I want to learn. I love learning. I always love more information. Something that's going to take me one step further.
Yeah.
That's what I always want. This is why whenever I go out with people, the most people I enjoy going out with are those people, because there's so much I can learn from them, because
Yeah.
they've gone through it all.
Yeah.
Because they're طبعاً maybe not in the position I want to be in, but they're definitely in a higher position than I am in right
They're
now.
on the way there.
They're on the way there.
Yeah.
They bring me to the way there. So.
Or they're bringing you to
Yeah.
the way there. It's nice to see, like, some people, there's a misconception. So to find someone to help you with like something like karting, for example,
Mm.
or racing, it's a very rare thing. You're not gonna find.
Here, no.
It's not rare.
No, I mean, here it is rare.
Yeah, like here, I feel like it's rare. But then when like I want to like work in a STEM field or engineering or whatever it may be, some people think it's easy because it's a very common thing. But yani, no, not like I would say not at all.
Probably easier to become a racing driver and not have anyone here to support you than to become.
Yeah, with something engineer without anybody. Like the other,
Yeah,
like it's dependent a lot more on the people you know.
definitely.
Or that's the way I think of it. But then again, it shifts back to a question of privilege. So some people argue that I'm not as successful as I want to be because I wasn't born into a rich family. And I feel like even racing, it costs a lot of money
So much.
to fund it. So someone might make the argument, I am not a racing driver because I wasn't
No,
born into a rich family.
that is wrong.
So where would you
That is
stand on
wrong.
that? Can you beat privilege?
You can 1000% be privileged to have an advantage over others. But just because you're not privileged doesn't mean you cannot pursue this passion. You can pursue the passion, no matter what it is. But you're gonna need to find a whole new way. You're gonna need to create a whole new road, and that's what I'm doing. I wasn't privileged enough to be born in a country with karting circuits and driver coaches and government support for motorsports.
Yeah.
I wasn't fortunate enough. I wasn't privileged enough. Yet I still carved my own way and carved my own route
If you wanted enough.
to pursue the passion.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, maybe the one who was more privileged might not get to where I want to be. And maybe through my route I carved, I find myself in a higher position than him, just because I was able to maintain consistency and create and invent a whole entirely new route.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my take on it. So you definitely, you're never not privileged enough to start and pursue a passion. you can only be more privileged to have it easier
Yeah.
for you. I hope
This
that was there.
yeah. It takes me back to a quote by an emperor. He's a Stoic emperor, Marcus Aurelius.
I love him.
Yeah, he says, "Love the hand that fate deals you, and play it as your own. For what could be more fitting?"
Mm.
And I think this quote is just something that. So again, I am not racing or sports or any of that. Ana, my dream, yani Harvard, Princeton, these
Mm.
big names, not
Yeah.
because of the name. It's because I feel like I owe it to myself to be in somewhere like that. I think that's the what I meant by like the good part of ego is I feel like I can go somewhere like that, and that I will and I should go
That's
somewhere like that.
confidence. That's not ego.
Oh, that's confidence and not ego
That's confidence. That's belief
in myself.
in yourself. That's confidence. You believe that you deserve to be in Harvard because you know that you love it. You know you're passionate for it. And you know that you put in so much effort
Yeah,
and work to make it there. And that you are putting and you are going to put so much effort and work
yeah,
to make it to where you want to be, which is in Harvard and these schools and stuff like that,
yeah.
unis or whatever.
And one of the things that comes with it is part of the college process is yani because it's a more competitive field if you're not from the US, if you're applying to the US. But I feel like this is where I relate back to that quote is yani love the hand that fate deals you. Yani what could be more fitting? Because I think it creates a nicer story for yourself and it
And,
makes success sweeter.
and you can actually enjoy it
Yeah.
and not have to kill yourself for it.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people who think success is so important just for you to be free and comfortable. No. Poor people are 10 times happier than the richest people. Because at least the poor people are doing what they love. And maybe some rich people are rich because they had to do something they hated and they don't like it and
Yeah.
they didn't want to pursue, but they just did it for the success.
I feel like that's a generalization though to say like poor people are happier than richer people.
No, not all poor people. I mean, some.
Yeah, so it's
I'm
not
saying
like
some
poor
poor people.
Yeah.
100%, not all. I mean, nothing. Like, I can't answer any
Yeah.
question, and it works for everyone
Yeah.
because everyone is different. Everything is different. So.
Do you think it goes back to the thing where I said, yani, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life, so you'll be
Yeah.
more happy. So
100%. It doesn't matter what you're doing. As long as you love it, you're good. And sometimes you might not even be able to do exactly what you loved.
yeah,
But maybe you are eventually going to grow to love it
yeah.
and you're going to enjoy it.
What about having conflicting goals? As in, some people I know, and again, we were just today discussing this in one of my classes. Being an animator or an artist, it's a very niche field, and
It
it's
is.
very hard to break into and make good money out of it. What if I love art, but I also want to live a very comfortable and rich and wealthy lifestyle? And I
Mm.
know art, it's very rare it's going to support something like that.
Mm.
Some people said that's where you draw the line, you set the priority, and you decide, yani, I will either pursue art to be happy or I'll pursue something that makes me rich to be happy as well. But what I said, and it kind of heated up the conversation a little bit, is I said that if you love art as much as you say you do, you'll make money out of it. That's what I think.
Exactly. But yeah, I'd agree with you. How I'd answer is you carve a path between the two. You create a path between the two.
So you don't follow the regular.
You don't follow the regular path. Oh yeah, I'm just an artist, or oh yeah, I'm just a wealthy person. No, you carve a path between the two. You mix art with this and try to create a whole new product out of the two, where you can pursue art yet make money out of it.
Yeah.
That's how I see it, and that's what I'm doing.
Right.
So okay, for me to pursue racing in a professional way
Yeah.
and learn and everything, I need to be in Europe and compete in the European Championship in OK Seniors. I need to in the European Championship. It's called an OK Senior in shifter carts. I need to go to the WSK, which is the World Karting Championship. I need to go all around the Middle East, okay, but I can't. I only
Yeah.
have the track, Jeddah,
Yeah.
here. So instead, I carve my own path. How so? I say, you know what? Maybe if I can't make it to Europe and learn racing, physical
Yeah.
racing, maybe I can learn racing here in Saudi Arabia through sim racing. So, kida, I'm carving my own path. Instead of
Yeah.
traveling to Europe, I can simulate that I'm in Europe and
Yeah.
actually race online people and learn
Yeah.
learn the skills you learn in Europe. Learn it through
You
sim
didn't
racing.
make an excuse. You found a different way.
بالضبط. You
Yeah.
find it different. You create a whole new path, a whole new route,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah.
Right. Honestly, this has been a very great episode, and it's
Thank you.
nice. It's new because it's not. Again, I think this is why I hope this would blow up, because it's not really my audience. Statistically, is 16 to 22 years old,
Mm.
and getting opinions from people your age, like I said, I feel like that's a much stronger thing that you take into consideration. But before we end off the episode, I have a fun but sort of like an insightful question.
Okay.
If you could have dinner with 3 people, dead or alive, who would they be?
Oh, thank you. Okay. Oh no, thank you. Never mind. There
Oh.
are too many to pick from. Okay. I need 60 seconds to think. Maybe a bit more.
Okay.
So, who would I have dinner with? Okay, I'll tell you. First of all, I'd want to have dinner with the Prophet,
Mm.
so he can tell me the stories of what he did, of when he went, for instance, to heaven and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
I'd love to hear from that.
Yeah.
So I love Islam, and I'm very privileged to become part of the religion. Second person I'd love to have dinner with is Messi.
Messi?
Because he's such a great guy. Like, it's just his mind, his physique, his mentality is so strong and unbelievable. It's truly, like, I cannot name a person who's like him on this planet.
Ronaldo.
Like, Ronaldo's amazing.
Yeah.
He's also the same, but Messi is so silent.
Yeah, he's like
He's
he works
so
in
silent,
silence.
and I love that so
Mm.
much. And I wish I can be like that, but unfortunately, I have to talk in order to promote
Yeah.
myself. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, yeah. But I'd love to have dinner with Messi. And the third and final one would definitely be Michael Schumacher.
Michael Schumacher.
Michael Schumacher.
That's the retired one.
That's the one who's unconscious now. No,
Oh.
he's basically not unconscious. He's in a coma.
What was it? Was it a skiing accident?
Yeah, it was a skiing
Yeah.
accident. Yeah, definitely him. Or yeah, I think probably Michael Schumacher.
Why not him and somebody else that was a great
I'd love Ayrton Senna. Ayrton Senna.
Mm.
Or Michael Schumacher. One of those. But most probably Michael Schumacher, just because he's he's closer to our generation
Yeah.
than Senna, who was in the 90s.
Senna said this one quote.
If you no longer go for a gap, you're no longer a racing driver.
No, there's that. No. I love the quote. It's if you're in control, you're not going fast enough. Where's that another guy?
That was Ken Block.
I don't know. Who that
No, if
Sure?
you're not scared, you're not going fast enough.
Wait,
That's by Ken Block, a rally driver.
one sec. Mario Andretti.
Mario Andretti.
I mixed up the names. It's okay,
Yeah.
same thing.
Yeah,
Actually, not the same thing, but still, he said this one quote, and that's one of the things I feel that I love a lot. And even not just for racing, but that's the other thing with school, is I do a lot of stuff, and I don't feel like I'm in control. But I
Mm.
think that's the beauty of it,
Yeah.
like it's a punch that you don't see coming, and you just block it. That's what I enjoy about
So
it.
what was the quote again?
It was let me open it back up. It said, if everything seems under control, you're just not going fast enough.
Okay. That's true. Yeah, that's very, very true.
In the racing context as well?
Yeah,
Oh.
100%. Yani, when you feel like you're not in control, like for me, like in my situation, like whenever I'm going fastest while driving,
Mm.
I usually feel not in control but in sync. That's what I can say. But usually to make it to my races, usually everything has to be a mess. Everything. Like, okay, Zizo, we need you to do this, we need you to do that. Okay, Zizo, I have 10,000 things to do until like the day, like until it's one day before the race, and that's the day I'm confirmed to going. That's to me like where if I was in control, nothing. I wouldn't have been able to race. But because of that mess, I was able to race.
Yeah.
I hope I made sense.
Yeah, you did.
So my first podcast, so we're all learning.
First of many, inshallah.
First of many, inshallah.
All right then. Thank you, all the viewers.
Thank you guys also.
Thank you, all the viewers, all the people watching this, listening to this, whether you are. This is on Spotify. I'm working on getting it to Apple Music and maybe Anghami. So whether you're biking, racing, rock climbing, listen to the podcast, Booming with Banna.
Listen to it, guys.
It's also on YouTube. And thank you very much for being today's guest.
My pleasure.
And
thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you.
It's an honor.
Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And I will see you soon, inshallah.
Thank you, guys.
Goodbye.
We're going to see you.